welcome back to Purelottie. So today is a week 4 of my endo series. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do, make sure you hit the thumbs up down below because it really helps me out. And if you're new, don't forget to join my family. Hit that subscribe button and change that notification bell to all so you don't miss any of my future videos. Alright, let's jump in. So today's video is a question and answer video. So I did pop up on my Instagram. If you're not there, my Instagram handle is purelottie1. So I popped up a question box and asked for some questions about endometriosis that you'd like me to answer. So I've got, I think it's about 15 questions. So I'm going to go through them whilst I do my makeup. So let's jump straight in. To start off with, I'm just going in to prime my eyes. I've already done my brows off camera. I really didn't do much at all for them because I'm just doing a casual look today. Apologize if you can hear my fan as well. As you all know, I do have really bad hot flushes, so I have my fan on pretty much all the time. For today's look, I'm using the Raw Beauty Christy Cross Colour Pop at Forest Sight palette. Okay, so question number 1 wasn't really a question. It basically just says just info in general and that they are now aware of what this disease is. So I don't really have an answer for that. If you want to go back and watch my other videos, I share my symptoms, my story, and things like that. And I'm so glad to have brought endometriosis into your life so that you are aware of it, and yeah, hopefully you will help raise awareness for the endo warriors out there. So question number 2 is, how do you cope with your pain? Is it painful, and if so, how painful? So yes, it is very painful. No matter what stage you are, you don't necessarily have the pain correlated with that stage. So a stage 1 person could have pain that is worse than somebody who has got stage 4. So the stages start at 1 and end at 4. Well, that's what I understand from the way that Australia sees it. So stage 4 is basically more severe. It's in a lot more locations, it's a lot deeper. Stage 1 is a smaller amount and in the more common locations, but somebody with stage 1 could have way more pain than someone with stage 4. So yeah, it all depends on the person. So for me, I have stage 4 endometriosis and my pain is very extreme. I am in pain every single day of my life. I've been suffering from endometriosis since I was 15 years old, and I would say, to start off with, when I was 15, it really was only painful for, I'd say, about 10 to 12 days of the month. That was more around the time of my cycle, and as it has slowly progressed over the years, I have now ended up with pain in my life every single day. I don't know what it's like to not be in pain anymore. It just is different levels of pain now. So if I'm having a flare up, like, it's quite high, and my everyday pain is like a more of a manageable pain for me. So my pain threshold scale is a lot different to a lot of people. Like, normally people would have like a 0 to 10 scale, and I want to say my pain is normally on that scale probably like a 5 or 6 as an everyday, and like my flare-ups is more of like a 10, but I can't really use that scale anymore because I don't know what it's like to not have pain anymore. So yes, it is very, very painful. So question number 3 is, what would I recommend to people that have this disease? So I would 100% come out and say to not give up and to find something that you enjoy. I want to say that this is the biggest thing that has helped me, and I never thought it was going to be helpful. Like when the doctors told me you need to find something to be positive for, I was like, there's nothing. And they're like, no, you need to find something that you like to do. So we went through like yoga and like exercising and things. We went through like my craft. I love doing craft and like coloring in and stuff. I love to travel. I love to learn languages. So we went through all of those type of things, but there was nothing that I could really find. And then I started playing with makeup, and it just changed my life, really. It honestly gave me something to look forward to, and that, looking back, that's the advice I would give to myself 10 years ago. I would tell myself to find something to enjoy, because I really wasn't living life. I was just making my way through it. I wasn't enjoying it. So that is my biggest advice I would give to somebody that has endometriosis, because it just gets you so down. And if all you're thinking about is your pain, is your nausea, like, you've got no room for anything else then. And how are you meant to enjoy life if that's all you're thinking of? So yeah, that's the advice I would give to somebody else with endometriosis. I would also suggest finding a support group. I have an amazing support group that I am part of, and I don't use it as much as I used to, but at the start I used to use it quite a bit, and I am trying to use it a lot more again, but for positive now. I used to use it a lot for sort of ranting, like getting it off my chest, because I couldn't really tell anyone else because no one else knew what I was going through. So yeah, I would suggest those two things. Next question is, how does it affect my day-to-day life? It affects my day-to-day life quite a bit. I cannot work a standard job. I struggle to leave the house, to leave my bed even on a lot of days. So I'm very fortunate to have found a job that I love in the travel industry, which I love, that is actually work from home. So this has been really, really good for me, because I can still work on my bad days. I don't need to look good because I'm at home and nobody can see me. I don't even have to feel good. I can sit there and work with a bucket next to me with heat packs on me. It does get rid of my chances of having like a day-to-day job, like a standard one that's in an office. One of my biggest things was I really wanted to be like a teacher or a Japanese interpreter, and it has pretty much squashed those chances, because I can't rely on my body to be able to do that. It affects that. It also affects my diet. So I really have to be careful with what I'm eating and what I'm doing. I can't do anything like too strenuous, because it can bring on a flare-up. I can't eat too much stuff that isn't agreeing with me, because it can bring on a flare-up. I even have to sort of plan my weeks in advance, so I know, like, if I'm going out to dinner or having like a cocktail or something, I always try and give myself like a few days off afterwards, because I know that I'm going to need that time to recover. I can't plan back-to-back things, so it pretty much affects every aspect of my life. So the next question is, when did I find out about endometriosis? And I actually knew about endometriosis from a young age. I didn't realize that I had it, and nobody ever said to me that I had it, but I do have a family member who has it, and she is a lot older than me. I did know about it quite early on, but I didn't really know what it was, and I didn't understand it or anything. I just knew of like the word, pretty much. I didn't really start finding out about endometriosis until I was diagnosed with it, and it wasn't even the doctors or the hospital that gave me the information. It was my own research. So that is pretty disappointing and something that I am trying my hardest to help change. The next question is, have I ever had surgery for my endometriosis? And the answer to this is yes. I have had 2 surgeries specifically for my endometriosis. So my first surgery I had for the diagnosis, and in that surgery they burnt the endometriosis out. I thought the doctors knew what they were doing and that was, you know, the normal thing. But I since found out that burning it out just gets rid of the top. It doesn't get rid of the roots. It's still there and it's still going to keep growing. So that was my first surgery. My second surgery was 2 or 3 years later, and it was an excision surgery, so that is cutting it out versus burning it out. So I knew the difference now between that, and I made sure that I was having it excised and not burnt out. This one, the second surgery, they were, I want to say that almost 100% confident that my endo wasn't back. They were so confident that I was making up how much pain I was in. And when I was back on the ward after surgery, the surgeon came and told me that I would be in agony because honestly it looked like Edward Scissorhands had been in my intestines, in my uterus, because there was so much endo and it was so deep that they had to cut out so much, and they hadn't allotted enough time for my surgery because they were guaranteed I didn't have the endo back, so they couldn't remove it all. So from then is when I started doing my research, and I do need more surgery, but I am opting to not have more surgery at the moment. I was meant to have surgery within 3 to 6 months after the last one. But now that I've done my research, I'm opting not to have surgery unless I go to an endo specialist, because I need someone that knows what they're doing and someone that can do it all in one hit and not make it worse, not tell me I'm crazy. So yes, I've had 2 surgeries. I do need more. I have been putting off the surgery for quite a few years now. But it is not a cheap procedure to do. It is not covered by insurance, and the endo specialists that I would prefer to see, the top ones, are all overseas, so I need upwards of like 50,000 to go and get it done by them. I did also have my gallbladder out when I was 18. Now there's no physical evidence of my gallbladder, but there is reports on my gallbladder, and looking at that, my endo doctors or my endo surgeon that did my second surgery has said that it is highly likely, almost guaranteed, that my gallbladder was actually riddled with endo, and that's why it was causing me so much pain. So if I count that, then I've had 3 surgeries, but only 2 of them were actually for endometriosis. So my next question is, how often do I have flare-ups? I can't tell you exactly how many I have because I don't really put a number to it. But as I said earlier, it really depends on what I'm doing, like diet-wise and physically-wise. And even mentally, I'll say. Mentally does affect it as well, on how many flare-ups I have. So when I'm being super good with my medication, I'm being super good with my diet, I'm doing, low impact working out, then I can have no flare-ups for a while. I could then go and eat carbs tonight and have a flare-up tomorrow. So it really does depend on the person, what affects them. Pre me doing all this research and implementing all of this, I was spending 80% of my life in hospital. because I was just in like one big constant flare up. Now, just in saying that, everybody is different. Everybody reacts differently to different foods and stuff. There's a thing called FODMAP diet. That's what started me on working out what are my trigger foods and my trigger drinks, and also then my trigger exercises and stuff. And then also in play with that, it worked out like stress levels could cause me to have flare-ups as well. So everybody is different. You just need to work out what it is that will work for you the best. And I've done a really good job over the last few years of working out my foods, my drinks, my exercise, my mental health. So I'm pretty on point with knowing if I was going to have a flare up. But then there can also be just random flare ups, like if the chocolate cysts which grow on my ovaries, if they get too big, then they pop. It causes a flare-up. Those are pretty terrible. How long does a flare-up last as well? This was on the question, sorry. It really depends on the type of flare-up. So I've had flare-ups that can pass in like 2 or 3 days. It's normally the first 2 or 3 days that is the worst. That's when I would need like medication. That's when I can't work. And then after that I can sort of deal with the pain and the nausea. But I've had flare-ups that have lasted months. So it really is something that there's no real pattern or rhythm to it. So it's just making it harder to find out like what endometriosis is, what causes it, how to cure it and everything. So yeah, it's a very hard disease to have and to deal with. So my next question is, have you ever had a flare-up that's put you in hospital? Yes, multiple. I don't go to hospital for my flare-ups anymore. I now stay home and deal with them at home because I have actually been marked as a drug seeker in the emergency departments. I have provided proof, but I've been red flagged. Once you've been red flagged, there's pretty much no chance of ever getting off of that. My records showed that when this happened, I would go in once a month every time of my cycle. The day before, day of my period, and the day after was the worst. I could not breathe. I could not function. I was in absolute agony, and I would be in hospital every time of that. And now because of that, I can't get any help from the hospital. So I tend to stay at home now. I do fortunately have a few medications that I can have at home, but they really don't do anything for my pain. I find the best thing for me is just jumping in the shower and sitting in the hot water, puking if I need to, and yeah, just trying to get through or count down the hours until I could start feeling a bit better. So my next question is, are there any options for having children with endo? Yes, there is. Not everybody is infertile. Unfortunately, I am. But I have come to terms with that, and I'm quite happy to talk about that now. My husband also has something genetically wrong with his side as well. So for him to have kids, he would need to have it done via IVF. So it sort of made us like perfect for each other because we both have issues. A lot of women with endometriosis do struggle and they do go through IVF, but the same as any other diseases and infertility, sometimes there's no chance. And for me, they basically say it's like a 0.01% chance, especially with my partner. Yeah, we absolutely love kids, but it's also given us the opportunity to be selfish and do what we want to for us as well. And I also believe that in the future, I would really love to help, like either foster or something like that, help kids in some way. And I believe that's what the world has planned for me, and that's why I can't have kids. So the next question is there any medicine for endometriosis? Yes and no. There's no like cure. There's no like medication for a cure. There's medication to help you deal with it a bit better. There is medication to stop your periods. There is obviously like pain relief, like nausea relief and stuff like that, but there's no 100% cure. And even the medications, like the medication I'm on that's put me in like a chemically induced menopause, is really helping for me, but that medication doesn't work for everyone. So it again comes down to the individual person. Hey guys, editing Lottie here. Just jumping in super quickly to say the medication I am on is actually helping reduce the growth rate of my endo and reducing the amount of cysts that I'm getting. So it is helping me quite a bit, but it does come with a lot of side effects. Next question is, how do you talk to your doctor about it? First thing I would say is I would 100% make sure that you've got an understanding doctor. If you don't know this doctor, maybe get to know them a little bit first, and make sure you've got an understanding doctor, a doctor with an open mind, and one that just doesn't go, oh, all women have pain with periods type of thing. So yeah, definitely make sure you've got a understanding doctor. But I would suggest just going straight in and asking. I would be like, okay, I've heard about this disease. I feel I have a lot of these symptoms. Can you please refer me to find out if I do have it? Not every doctor is going to believe you. Not every doctor is going to refer you. Find a doctor that will. I went through dozens of doctors before I finally found one that would give me a referral to have the surgery to find out that I had endometriosis. I went through, I think it was 6 or 7 years before I found a doctor that would do that for me. So 3 more questions. Next question is, how severe do I have it? I have stage 4. The way that the hospital that I go to says there is 4 stages. And I have stage 4, so I have the worst stage. But as I said earlier, somebody with stage 1 could have pain worse than me. So it's not necessarily how bad it is versus the stage. I will say that my body is riddled with it. I have endometriosis in my uterus, in my general organs. It is on my diaphragm. It is near my spleen, or on my spleen, and it is on my sciatic nerve. It is not controlled in just my uterus. It has spread throughout my body. So that was pretty devastating to find out that it is throughout my body, because obviously it could turn fatal if it gets to like my lungs or my brain or my heart. So yeah, that was pretty disappointing to find that out. So the next question is, how many good days and bad days do I get each month? And I can't really answer this one. As I said earlier, it's going to depend on what I'm doing. If I'm being really good, I could go without any bad days for a full month. So yeah, it's really going to depend on how I'm acting, like diet, exercise, mental health. a bit low. So yeah, I can't really answer that, but on average I want to say that I have at least 2 to 3 days a month where I struggle to even get out of bed. The last question is, does anyone else in my family have it? And the answer to this is yes. So my biological auntie, it is my mother's sister, she actually has endometriosis. She was diagnosed with it when she was having kids. She had a hysterectomy when she had her last kid, or soon after her last child. So before I was born. So yes, my family has sort of known about this disease since my auntie was diagnosed with it, but we didn't really understand it. And for my auntie, the hysterectomy worked for her for 30 years before it is now unfortunately come back, and she's had to have more surgery now. So yeah, they knew about it, but they thought, you know, sort of the hysterectomy worked for my auntie and that's basically it. We do wonder if my mum had it. We can't say for sure whether she did or not. My mum kept her pain to herself quite a bit, and she passed away when she was 42. So we can't speak to whether she did or didn't have it. There's no way of now knowing, but we do remember her having issues with her menstrual cycle, and we do wonder, yeah, if that contributed to it. So that was the last question. I'm just gonna pop some lip balm on because I can't be bothered putting lipstick on today. So this is the finished look that I created. So I did a really nice gold look today. So if you have any more questions about endometriosis, let me know down in the comments. I'm quite happy to do a part 2 of this video, or even do some more in the future, even when it's not Endometriosis Awareness Month. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to hit the thumbs up down below because it really helps me out. If you're new, don't forget to join my family. Hit that subscribe button and change that notification bell to all so you don't miss any of my future videos. And I would absolutely appreciate it if you could share this video, because I really would love to end the stigma about endometriosis, and I would love to really help other women out there. So as always, thanks for watching, guys. Bye.